this tutorial, we're going to take just a couple of minutes and look at the Canvas app. Okay, this is found inside of Snowflake. So all you want to do is open it up, wait patiently. This is considered your whiteboard space. There's a lot of different tools in here, so just keep in mind small steps as you go along. Pick and choose what you want to use first, and then you can always add tools to your belt as you go along. So let me just show you a couple of things you might be interested in. Number one, let's say that I have a document I want to bring in and annotate or work with my students inside the classroom. So first I need to retrieve that document. So I want to go down here to this right here. Okay, so if I want to bring in that document, then I want to go first of all down here to the image icon. When I click on it, now you can do wherever you want to. If you have something saved on your hard drive or your desktop that you want to pull, you're more than welcome to. I've actually connected, you can connect your OneDrive to it if you'd like. I already have my Google Drive connected to this particular app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into that by clicking. Then I'm going to find the folder that I want to be able to use in this situation. So I'm going to go into my particular folder. I'm going to pull that file open for you. And as I go in, it takes me just a second to open the document. Here we are. Now let's take a look at what can I do with this. This is actually a PDF file, so it's almost looking at it like an image. So I can put things on top of my image if I would like to throughout this process. Let's see how we do that. Well, first of all, I'm not particularly satisfied with how large it is. So I want to make it a little bit bigger for my kids. So for me, what I like to do is I usually like to take my fingers. I usually use 2 or all of them. It's up to you. You have to kind of get used to this, so play with it a little bit. But as you grab it, you want to pull it out, almost like you're pinching out at the same time. You got to kind of turn it, manipulate a little bit. You can see I'm not that fabulous either, but I'm sure with skill and time, it's going to get better. So I get it to a size that's more reasonable to work with for my students. But if I'm going to work with annotation in my kids, I want to make sure that I'm not showing them everything right now. So let's take a look at one quick trick that you can use in your tool belt to hide a lot of this and reveal it at the time you want to. Go down here to this funny little icon. It's really, I don't know what it truly is, but it looks like a little book with an arrow going up, and you want to click on it. You're going to see this option called Hide. Select it. And this is the reveal option. So what I can do is you'll think, oh my gosh, the file's gone away. Nope, it's there. It's actually hidden. So what I can do is I can take my fingers, and as I pull it down, I can reveal sections as I want to. Pretty cool feature. I can also not just go from the top down, I can actually slide it up and reveal from the bottom if I would like to as well. Now, that being said, I can also slide it to the side and reveal portions, and to the other side as well, and reveal portions as I see fit. So let's say I've got my section, I've pulled it down, and we're going to work with this particular section right here. And again, I'm working on some annotation with my students. So what are some things that I can use quickly to kind of help out with this? Well, let's just say, for example, I want to annotate on top of it. There are options for you to use. One of them is which you can go directly to the pencil. I select the pencil, and you can use your finger or you can use your magnetic pen as well. But in this case, I'm going to choose a different color because it's easier to see on top for the kids. And I'm going to keep it as a pen tool. And then what I can do is I can go in and start marking up my document how I need to fit my students' needs. Now let's just say, well, I want to go ahead, I want to highlight something for my kids. I want to show them how annotation tools can be used. I'm going to select the highlight tool because I'm modeling this for my kids. I'm going to increase the size of my brush. It's about the exact, whatever direction you go, that's how big the circle is going to be on top of here. I'm going to change the color, and then as I come in, you can see it's going to highlight for me, okay? Oops, I went too far. I don't want to do that. I'm going to select the eraser tool again, And in this case, I'm going to erase what I don't need. They do recommend you use your whole palm to erase and not just a finger, but you can use the finger if you want to, okay? So those are a couple of the tools that I'm able to use thus far. Now, let's say I want to go back, and in this case, I want to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to go back to this. This is kind of like your key mouse. This is kind of like your touchpad, okay, or your mouse that you use to navigate around on the page. However, let's just say there's a certain spot that I want to focus on, and I don't want my kids to have to worry about anything else. Like, this is all kind of getting in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the side, and you can see your arrow. I'm going to pull this out. Do you see the tools? You're going to select the tools, and watch this. We're going to select Spotlight. What we do is you can actually manipulate this. You can move it around to a particular area where you want to focus, especially if you're having a discussion with your kids. And then you can actually increase or decrease the size of it. So I can make it a bigger spotlight, and this is super cool, I can actually darken it as I see fit so the whole screen goes dark. Okay, at this point, let's assume that you're kind of over this, you're ready to move on, and you want to get this out of your way, and you're ready to go back to lecture with your students or move on to another section. You can simply click the X button, it goes away. Now, another cool feature, let's say that you're practicing annotation as a whole class, and you want to give the kids a certain amount of time, and you're working with your watch or the clock in the room, it's just not working for you as well as it possibly could. Again, let me show you one more quick tool. Go right over here to your caret, select it, choose tools again. There's an instantaneous countdown that will pop up, but look, I don't like that. It's right in my way. So guess what you can do? You can pull it up out of the way where it's most convenient for you. You can also change the amount of time that you want. If you want 5 minutes on the clock, you click start, and it will actually have a little sound that it makes once the timer is expired. Now, let's say time is over, we're finished, or I don't want to use that anymore, or perhaps I don't want them to see what's on my screen. I can enlarge it, make it whole class size. I can also pause, reset, or get rid of it if I so choose. One more thing I wanted to show you in that cool toolbar is you also have a stopwatch as well. So instead of counting down, if you want to start the time and let a timer run, you're more than welcome to. So if maybe your kids are racing through something in particular, they're competing, that might be an option. You can do the same thing where you can click and drag it wherever it's most convenient for you on the screen. Now, we were working with the hide tool or the reveal. Remember this part where we could slide this up and down however we wanted to, but let's say we're finished with that and we want to get rid of it. Then you go back to the funny arrow with the book, click on it, select reveal one more time, and now it's gone. So you're back to your normal page. Okay, let's take a look at another tool that you have an option to use. So let's say you want your kids to get started annotating, but you want to finish talking through a few things. Now, most of us do not like to turn our back on our children. So we all have good reasons for that. So how can we combat that? Let's make some eyes in the back of our head. So your unit or your device came with a camera. What you have to do is simply first, and I actually made this mistake, make sure the camera lens is off. I kept getting a blank camera and I was like, oh, that's not working. I'm like, well, that's because the lens is covered. So make sure the lens is uncovered. Place the camera where you would like it, and you may have to readjust, and that's fine as well. But we want to be able to watch the kids while we're writing on the screen instead of constantly getting ostrich neck, turning back and forth. What can we do about that? Again, we want to go back to that same icon with the book and the arrow, click on it or touch it. Then you want to go directly to camera, select camera, and here it pops up. This is actually a live feed video. I'm going to step back so you can kind of see a little bit when I step into the screen. You can see me as well as I moved. And then I move back into your view. Now let's say it's right here in the middle of everything. It's too much in my way. I can move it out of the way so I can watch my kids and also work on the board. Let's just say you also have the option of snapping a quick picture. If you snap a quick picture, it will freeze everything. You'll see the picture pop up over here as well. So you can snap a picture of your kids if they're doing something for an activity or somebody's being naughty, something like that, and you have it on file. So scooch that out of the way. Now, if I'm all finished with my camera and I don't want to use my camera anymore, I can simply click the X and it goes away. Hey math people, a couple of great things for you I wanted to show you as well. Let's take a look. So remember how we were talking about being inside of this particular app? And this is again the Canvas app, which is like your whiteboard. If you're working with students and you need a couple of quick tools to be able to emphasize your lesson or rework some things, first of all, I'm going to do what I like to do. To remember my funny arrow with the book, I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my camera because you know how I like to watch my kids because, you know, let's just say trust is always an issue. So I've got my camera pulled up, but I need to work with some different types of math tools. What options do you have that you could use on the cuff to be able to help you with your lesson? Notice I'm still in that little book arrow app or icon, and I want to go ahead and I can go to Math Tools. When I select that, this is kind of neat. You've got a ruler that you could insert. You've got a protractor that you could insert. You've got a compass that you could use. And then you've also got a square that you could bring in. And notice each one of them has the ability to be able to be manipulated. So I can make measurements on things if I want to. I can take readings, and then here as well, you learning how to use a protractor, and as far as what else do I use? The compass. And again, you want to touch that blue part, and you can show kids how to quickly create different types of measurements. One of the other ones that you do have, and I'm going to clear a couple of these out so I have a little bit more room. Notice I drew on it, and guess what? It stays. Okay, but the other one that I can bring in, and I'll show you in just a second. Let's get rid of what I've got because it's kind of getting in my way a little bit. Let's erase these lines. I go back into my app. I select Math Tools. This time I'm going to pop in a graph. So I can bring in a graph if I so choose. And if I bring in that graph and I select it, then what I should be able to do is input my numbers to get whatever I want out of my graph as well. Okay, so there's that option as well. If I like it, I can lock it down and keep it, or I can trash it if I want to as well. Same thing with the protractor. I can lock it down so it's not going to move anymore, or I can simply get rid of it if I want to. And don't forget, if something's in your way, whole palm and erase. Let's go back to the Math Tools one more time. Let's show you do have a calculator you can pop up as well to input numbers so kids can work directly on the board. Now this is also pretty cool. The equation editor is on there. You can input equations that you can also use with your students. And you can, don't go away. You can bring it in and you can work with those equations as well. So they are available to you. Now let's take a look while I'm inside of the app, and again, I'm in the Canvas app. What can I do in terms of bringing in, I don't want to have to keep exiting out of this app and going back into it with my students, but I want them to be able to have access to the internet from the board. Simply click the www icon down here at the bottom, and you'll see this pop up. You can bring it down. It defaults to Google. Then you're able to type in. You can use this keyboard, or you can use your mobile keyboard as well to type into it. I'm a little bit more challenged, so for me, typing on top of the board takes a little bit more time. So a lot of times I end up just typing on the actual keyboard itself. So I'm able to do that. And what you can do with this program, and let me go ahead and click this for just a second. Notice that on the computer, I'm already signed into my Gmail account. You can see my little icon up there to show that I am logged in. So if I increase the size of this, make a large sheet, I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. So let's just say we're looking at, in my case, let's see, chemical reactions. Let's see if I can type. I'm getting the same results that I would if I were to search on Google. Now, here's one mistake that you might make that I made. So a lot of times we're used to taking and just scrolling down, but what did I do? Oops, I moved the whole thing. Not what I wanted to do. So again, a little something you have to get used to is go all the way over to the right and you'll find this little gray bar. And when you click on it, then it should pull your page down for you. So you can look at the different results that you got when you were trying to research this particular topic. Then if you find something that you like, you can click on that website, give it a half a second, and it should load for you. Okay, this is the site that I wanted to use with my students. And don't forget, again, I tend to make that mistake. You have to be careful about scrolling. But when I'm going through my information, let's just say that, well, this is great, but it's not quite as big as I'd like it to be with my kids because I'm trying to go through some things. Then if you'll notice, every time when I click on this, you can see that it goes into this little selection mode with these dotted lines. Then what I can do is I can select this button right here. This is the enlarger button, and you can see it makes it much bigger for the kids so they're able to see what's going on a little bit better. Let's say I'm tired of that. I've used what I need to use. I'm ready to be done with it. In this case, then I can come out of that screen as well. I can lock this down. If I lock it down, look, now it really doesn't move. And guess what? I don't have to worry. I can touch all around. Notice my screen is not moving. So lockdown feature is really good to be able to use. If I'm tired of the lockdown feature and I want it to maintain and move itself around a little bit, unlock puts you back where you were. Okay, let's take a look at just a couple of more features. So let's say that I am in the middle of a lesson, I've done some annotations, I'm working on some things, but it's kind of getting annoying because every time I do this, it's moving everywhere and it's working on my nerves. So to stop that problem, to lock it down in place so it won't move anywhere, you want to go right here to your lock. Make sure you understand that this has to be highlighted. So again, that broken line is what you're looking for, or dashed line. Click the lock button and notice that it no more will go squirrely on you. It is actually locked down. You can always unlock it if you want to, that is an option, but the lockdown feature is kind of nice if you're finished working for just a few minutes, or if you want to be able to have it so that it's not manipulated around. With this, I can also still write on top of it if I want to. It just means that it's not going to easily move around on me anymore. Okay, so that's an idea of the lockdown feature. One other thing I wanted to show you is that if we're in Canvas, and again, we don't want to close the app and have to go back into it, you can create some zones to use another or different app of your choice. You want to simply, and you can got this on both sides, this little icon down here in the bottom right-hand corner, when you click on it, you're going to see zones pop up. So click on zones. You can choose to create, you're in the home zone, which is one zone. You can make 2 zones. You can make, whoops, it got a little bit too sensitive for me there, sorry. You can make 4 zones if you want to. So, and then you can also change the direction of those zones. So if you had it almost like a table and flipped and your kids were working on it, that would be the one you'd want to use over there. But more than likely, you're going to be between the 2 and the 4. So I'm just going to select the 2. And what it does is it instantaneously resizes the screens for me. So I have the one app that I was working with on the left inside of Canvas. And then over here to the right, I can open up something else if I would like to. Now notice I can still scroll around if I want to. So for example, if I want to bring up a particular application, hold on for just a minute, like a puzzle for my kids to work on. Let's say somebody's finished with what they're doing. I want to open something up for them. I can do that. I'm going to select Gorilla. And then here's my puzzle. Now, notice some of these games are really designed more towards elementary, but again, it could be, high schoolers get easily entertained, I'm just saying. So they can bring their pieces in, they can figure out how they fit together. I am so not a puzzle human. I am very, very logical, so I struggle with things like this. But again, you can see that they can work with these little games that they have inside of here while you're having maybe this still up for students to copy, or if they need to get information from it, you still have that available. If you are finished with this, go back in, choose zones, go back to home. It will, notice it went back to my gorilla. That's because it's the last app I was working in. Like I was touching over on that particular screen. So if I didn't want that to happen, then what I could do is I would simply make sure that the last part that I touched was the zone that I wanted it to default back to. Okay? So those are some ideas for you to use.